Hello, everyone. This is Eleanor Rigby. I was sitting here by the window this morning, looking at a small, chipped ceramic bluebird that has sat on my mantel for nearly 52 years. The tail is glued back on, rather clumsily, I might add, from a move we made back in the summer of 1978. Looking at that little bird, I realized how much it represents the passage of time, and more importantly, the lessons that time carves into your heart, whether you're ready for them or not. If I hadn't learned the lesson I'm about to tell you today, I would have lost everything. I would have walked away from the best thing that ever happened to me because I was young, I was foolish, and I didn't understand the weight of the words we say to one another. Before I tell you this story, please subscribe. I want to pass this wisdom down before I'm gone so you don't make the same mistakes I did. I want these words to live on in you. Let me take you back to 1971. It was a humid July in Pennsylvania, the kind of heat that makes your clothes stick to your back the second you step off the porch. I was 24 years old, and I had been married to Arthur for exactly 3 years. At 24, you think you know everything there is to know about the human heart. You've read the poetry, you've seen the movies, and you think you've got it all figured out. I thought I knew what love was. I thought love was that fluttering in my chest when Arthur walked through the door after a long shift at the mill. I thought love was the excitement of planning our first real vacation, or the way he looked in his Sunday best. But that summer, things started to feel heavy. We didn't have a penny to our names back then. Arthur was working double shifts, and I was exhausted from trying to make a home out of a drafty little apartment that smelled like old floor wax and cabbage. We started bickering. It wasn't the big cinematic fights you see on television. It was the small, grinding friction of two people who were simply tired. He'd leave his boots by the door, and I'd snap at him. I'd overcook the roast, and he'd sit in silence, staring at his plate. One evening, we were sitting out on the fire escape because it was too hot to breathe inside. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I felt this terrifying emptiness. I realized in that moment that I didn't much like him right then. I didn't like the way he chewed his lip when he was worried. I didn't like the way he seemed so distant. And because I didn't like him, I panicked. I thought to myself, Eleanor, the love is gone. If you don't like being around him, how can you possibly love him? I remember saying it out loud. The words just spilled out of me like cold water. I looked at him and said, Arthur, I don't think I like you very much anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. You could hear the crickets, the distant sound of a radio playing a Motown hit, and the hum of the city. Arthur didn't get angry. He didn't yell. He just looked out at the skyline. His hands rough and stained from the mill, and he sighed a sound so heavy it felt like it shook the floorboards. He turned to me and said, Eleanor, I don't much like you right now either. You've been sharp-tongued and impatient for a month. But what does liking have to do with the promise I made to you? I was taken aback. Everything, I insisted. If we don't like each other, what are we doing here? He took my hand. His skin felt like sandpaper against mine, and he said something I will never forget. He said, liking is for friends. Liking is for sunshine and easy afternoons. But loving is the anchor when the storm is blowing us apart. I love you even when I don't like you. I love you when you're being difficult, and I expect you to love me when I'm being a fool. Don't confuse the feeling of like with the duty of love. Young people today might not understand this, but back then, we didn't have the luxury of just walking away when things got uncomfortable. We had to sit in the discomfort. We had to stare at it until we understood what it was trying to teach us. That year, 1971, was the hardest year of my life. We were broke, we were frustrated, and the spark everyone talks about had been smothered by the reality of survival. But Arthur was right. I started to watch him. I watched the way he sacrificed his sleep to make sure we could pay the heating bill. I watched the way he still brought me a single wildflower he'd picked by the side of the road. Even after we'd had a disagreement the night before, I realized that liking someone is an emotional reaction to their personality in a given moment. It's fickle. It's based on whether they are making you happy or making you laugh or making life easy. But loving someone, that is a choice. It is a cold-blooded, hard-fought decision you make every single morning when you wake up. I can still hear his voice today, even though he's been gone for 6 years now. I can hear him saying, "Easy, Ellie, just breathe through it." Experience has taught me that the moments where you dislike your spouse are actually the moments where your love has a chance to grow the deepest roots. It's like a tree. The wind blows and it shakes the leaves. That's your like being tested. But the roots go deeper into the dirt to hold the tree steady. That's your love. In all my 80 years, I have seen so many people throw away perfectly good marriages because they fell out of love. What they really mean is they stopped liking the person. They stopped feeling that easy, breezy affection. They hit a season of winter and thought the tree was dead, not realizing that it was just dormant, preparing for a stronger spring. You have to understand that a long marriage is made up of many different mini marriages. There was the marriage of our 20s, full of fire and uncertainty. There was the marriage of our 30s, which was all about the kids and the mortgage and the sheer exhaustion of parenthood. Then there was the marriage of our middle age, where we had to rediscover who we were after the house went quiet. In some of those marriages, I liked him immensely. We were best friends, laughing until we cried. In other phases, we were like two ships passing in the night, irritated by the very sound of the other person's breathing. But the love never wavered, because love isn't a feeling you have, it's a decision you make every morning. It's a commitment to the well-being of another person, even when they are being utterly unlikable. I promise you, if you are looking for a partner you will like every single day for the rest of your life, you are looking for a ghost. You are looking for something that doesn't exist. Human beings are messy. We are flawed. We are moody, and we are selfish. There will be days, maybe even weeks or months, where the person across the table from you feels like a stranger, or worse, an adversary. But that is where the magic happens. That is where you prove who you are, and when you can look at someone you are currently frustrated with, someone who has let you down, someone who is showing you their worst side, and you can say, "I don't like you very much today, but I am not going anywhere." That is when you truly learn how to love. In the modern world, everything is so disposable. If a phone breaks, you get a new one. If a dress has a tear, you toss it. I fear people are treating their hearts and their partners the same way. They think that if the feeling is gone, the relationship is over. Let me tell you the truth. The feeling goes and comes like the tide. You can't build a house on the tide. You have to build it on the rock, and that rock is the discipline of love. When we got married in 1968, we took vows. We said for better or for worse. Most people focus on the worst, being external sickness, poverty, tragedy, but the worst can also be internal. The worst can be the days when your spouse is grumpy or lazy or just plain boring. The worst is when you've heard the same story for the 1,000th time and you want to scream. Love is staying for that too. I look at that little bluebird on my mantle. And I think about the day the tail broke. We could have thrown it away. It was just a cheap little thing. But Arthur sat down with a tiny tube of glue, his big, clumsy fingers working so delicately, and he put it back together. It has a scar now. You can see the line where the break happened. But in a way, it's more beautiful because it was saved. It has a history. Your marriage, your long term relationships, they will have scars. You will have moments where the bond is snapped, but don't throw it away just because it isn't perfect or because the like has faded for a season. Grab the glue, sit down at the table, do the work.
My late husband used to say that the secret to a long marriage was two people who refused to quit at the same time. Think about that. It's not about being perfect. It's about being stubborn. It's about being more committed to the us than you are to your own temporary feelings of annoyance. I wish for you a love that is deeper than like. I wish for you the kind of soul-deep connection that can withstand the seasons of dislike and come out stronger on the other side.
There is a profound peace that comes with being known, truly known, including all your worst parts, and being loved anyway, that only happens with time, that only happens when you stay. The long-term implications of loyalty are something you can't see when you're young. You can't see the beauty of sitting on a porch at 75, holding the hand of the person who knows every single one of your mistakes and still thinks you're the moon and the stars. You only get that if you're willing to walk through the valleys where you don't like each other very much. Thanks for listening to An Old Soul. I hope these words found a place in your heart today. Subscribe, share this with someone you love, and cherish them while they are here, even on the days when they're a little bit difficult to like. Would you like me to write a similar script focusing on a different life lesson, such as the importance of forgiveness or handling financial struggles together?